Ever feel like your creativity just vanishes? Like you hit a total brick wall trying to come up with
Oh,
ideas.
definitely. That's a familiar feeling for many people.
Yeah, well, that's exactly where author Isabel Martinez found herself, completely stuck. Second novel, nothing.
Right.
But her breakthrough, it wasn't what you'd expect. She changed her diet.
Her diet, interesting.
Yeah. And within 2 weeks, she went from basically 0 words to hitting 2,000 words a day consistently.
Wow, that's a huge shift.
Totally. So let's dive straight into this because what Isabel discovered, well, neuroscience is increasingly backing it up. Specific nutrients, they have this like powerful direct impact on the brain processes that fuel creative thought.
It's pretty compelling, isn't it? How
Yeah.
something is, every day is eating can profoundly affect our mental capabilities,
Yeah,
especially creativity, which feels so complex.
exactly. It just shows how intertwined our physical state is with our mental landscape.
Mm.
And that's really the core of our deep dive today. We're not just telling a cool story. We're going to unpack the specific foods that helped Isabel and, crucially, explain how you can use these same sort of nutritional powerhouses to unlock your own creative potential.
And it's not about fad diets, right? It's about understanding practical steps.
Absolutely. Actionable steps anyone can take, starting from, well, the inside out, nourishing that spark.
And it's important to say, Isabel's story is a great example, but it really lines up with a growing body of scientific research. This whole nutrition brain function link is getting a lot more attention.
Okay, so let's start with that feeling, that like heavy sluggishness after certain meals where your creative energy just poof, gone.
Yeah, I know that one.
It's more than just being physically tired, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That feeling. It's often a direct signal from your digestive system straight to your brain. And it's heavily influenced by what you just put in your mouth.
So how does basic food have such a massive influence on like thinking creatively?
Yeah, that's the key question. It comes down to something called the gut-brain axis.
Ah, sounds technical.
It does, but think of it like a super fast highway. Constant communication, back and forth, gut to brain to gut. What happens in your gut doesn't, stay in your gut.
Vegas rules don't apply.
Huh? Exactly. It directly impacts how your brain works, how you feel,
Mm.
and yeah, your creative output.
Okay.
And a huge player here is the gut microbiome. You know, the trillions of microorganisms living down there.
Right, the gut bugs.
Yeah, they aren't just hanging out. They're actively producing really important neurochemicals, stuff that governs our mood, our mental sharpness.
So a healthy gut means
Well,
better mood chemicals?
basically, yes. It supports the production of things like serotonin, dopamine,
Sure.
crucial for motivation, focus, feeling good, things you definitely need for creativity.
Okay, so those comfort foods, the sugary stuff, the fatty stuff we grab when we're stressed or stuck, they feel good for a minute, but
Yeah, that's the trap. They might give you that temporary lift, sure, but they can also kick off this negative chain reaction in your gut.
how so?
Well, those foods, lots of refined sugar, processed fats, they're known to promote inflammation, not just locally, but systemically, all through the body, including pathways affecting the brain.
Inflammation in the brain, that sounds bad.
It's not ideal.
Yeah.
This low-grade kind of chronic inflammation, think of it like static on that gut-brain communication line. It messes with the balance needed for your brain to work optimally.
Like a bad phone connection.
Exactly. And that can lead to feeling sluggish, irritable, that mental fog. And critically for creativity, it can hinder cognitive flexibility.
Cognitive flexibility, remind me.
That's the brain's ability to shift perspectives easily, make new connections between ideas, jump between different solutions when you're problem solving. If your system's busy dealing with inflammation, those mental resources just aren't as available for innovative thinking.
Huh. I definitely recognize that craving for something sweet or fatty when I'm wrestling with a tough problem. Is
Uh-huh.
there like a psychological thing going on too?
Oh, absolutely. Research shows we can get conditioned.
Right.
We learn to reach for those high sugar, high fat foods when we feel stressed or emotionally low.
Because they give that quick boost.
Right. But it creates this negative loop. You feel blocked, you crave the comfort food, you eat it, you get a very brief sugar rush.
Followed by the crash.
Exactly. And more inflammation, which dampens your mood and thinking even more, potentially making the creative block worse and triggering more cravings.
Hmm.
It's a cycle. The quick fix makes the problem worse long term.
Wow. Okay. That's a real trap. So how do we escape? How do we actually use diet to like lift our mood and boost creativity?
It really comes down to proactively nourishing your gut environment. You want to support a stable, positive mental state.
Okay.
So that means choosing foods that feed the beneficial bacteria in your gut. help keep that microbiome balanced, and minimize the inflammation that sabotages creative thought.
Like tending a garden.
That's a great way to put it. Tend the garden of your gut so it can support your brain.
I like that. So what are the key things we need to grow in this internal creative garden, the actual nutrients?
Okay, so central to this whole thing are neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers brain cells use to talk to each other.
Right.
Two really big ones for mood and thinking are serotonin and dopamine.
Yeah.
Serotonin, that's heavily involved in well-being, calmness. And interestingly, like maybe up to 90% of your body's serotonin is actually made in the gut.
90%. Wow.
Yeah. It really highlights how much your digestive health impacts your mood. Then there's dopamine. That's linked to motivation, focus, the reward feeling, all vital for starting and finishing creative projects.
Definitely need those.
And here's the critical bit. The raw materials, the building blocks, the cofactors needed to make these essential neurotransmitters. They come directly from the food we eat.
So the food we eat literally provides the stuff for our motivation and good mood.
It literally does. It's quite incredible when you think about it. And you can feel the difference, right? The mental clarity after a balanced meal versus, say, one loaded with simple carbs and processed stuff. It can be really striking.
Oh, totally. That post-lunch brain fog after pizza or something heavy.
Exactly. Compare that sharp focus you might get after a meal with fiber, lean protein, healthy fats.
Yeah.
Versus the fog after something sugary and processed. The first one supports good gut-brain chat, stable blood sugar and neurotransmitter support. The second, that's gut disruption, blood sugar chaos, enemies of creative work.
I can definitely relate to feeling that difference. That afternoon slump is real.
Recognizing that contrast in yourself is a huge step. Understanding the why, this whole interplay between gut, brain, mood, food, it's fundamental.
Right.
It empowers you. You move from just passively accepting food's impact to strategically choosing foods that actively help, not hinder, your creativity. Realizing your play is a lever to fine-tune your mental state. It's a powerful tool.
Okay, I'm sold on the why. Now let's get specific. What exactly should we be eating to fuel that creative fire? What's the high-octane stuff?
Right, so if the brain's the engine, these nutrients are the premium fuel. It's not just general healthy eating. Certain compounds are like spark plugs, igniting the processes for creative thought.
Okay.
Your brain needs a constant supply of specific macro and micronutrients just to function properly. They build brain structure, allow neurons to communicate efficiently, manage the energy needed for thinking.
So beyond just, like, eat your veggies, there are specific nutritional powerhouses for creativity.
Precisely. People might know the basics, but miss that certain compounds offer targeted support for things like divergent thinking, complex problem-solving, key creative skills. Let's start with omega-3 fatty acids, specifically DHA.
Omega-3s. Heard a lot about those. Why are they so crucial for the creative brain?
Well, research shows DHA is a major structural part of the brain itself. It's absolutely vital for keeping our brain cell membranes fluid and flexible.
Fluid membranes. What does that do?
Think of them like gatekeepers for signals. Fluidity means messages pass quickly, efficiently between neurons. Smooth communication. And that efficiency is crucial for learning, memory, and that cognitive flexibility we mentioned, switching between concepts quickly, which is fundamental for creative problem solving. Studies link higher omega-3 intake with better working memory and verbal fluency too.
So the takeaway is DHA helps brain cells talk faster, making us more flexible thinkers.
In essence, yeah. It enhances your ability to think outside the box because the communication lines are clearer and faster.
Got it. Where do we find this DHA stuff?
Best sources are fatty fish. Think salmon, mackerel, trout, herring, sardines. Aiming for maybe 2 servings a week is a good target.
But fish, what if you don't eat fish?
Good question. There are plant sources like flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts. They provide a type of omega-3, ALA, but the body has to convert it to DHA, and that conversion, well, it's not super efficient for everyone. It varies.
Right, so fish is more direct. Okay, fatty fish or seeds, walnuts. What's next on the brain booster list?
Next up, B vitamins, specifically B6, B12, and folate, which is B9. These guys are like essential workers in the brain factory. They're critical cofactors for making those key neurotransmitters we talked about, serotonin, dopamine, mood, motivation, focus. Think of B vitamins as essential parts in the machinery that builds those messengers.
Oh, okay.
Plus, they're vital for energy production within the brain cells, helping convert glucose, sugar, into usable energy.
So B vitamins help make mood chemicals and provide energy.
Exactly. They're crucial for both neurotransmitter production and sustained mental energy.
So if I'm feeling mentally sluggish, maybe I need more B vitamins.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
And folate, B9, is particularly noted for its role in brain development and maybe even reducing risks of neurodegenerative stuff later on.
Yeah.
Getting enough helps maintain that energy and neurochemical balance for concentration and a positive mindset during creative work.
Where do we find these B vitamins?
Leafy greens are great: spinach, kale, also whole grains, eggs, legumes. They're in a fair bit of stuff.
Okay, healthy fats, essential vitamins. What else does our creative brain crave?
Antioxidants. Okay, so thinking hard, being creative uses a lot of energy in the brain. High metabolic activity.
Right.
And that activity naturally creates byproducts called free radicals.
Mm.
Over time, these can cause oxidative stress, basically, cell damage, which can impair cognitive function.
Oh, damage.
Yeah. But antioxidants act like little bodyguards for your brain cells. They neutralize those free radicals,
Yeah.
protecting cells from damage and inflammation.
So more creative thinking means more need for antioxidant protection.
That's the idea. High mental effort increases the need for these protectors.
Where do we find these antioxidant superheroes?
Berries are fantastic sources. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, packed with antioxidants like flavonoids, which some studies suggest might improve memory.
Nice. Any others?
Dark chocolate, a high cocoa kind, like 70% or more. It's another recognized source of antioxidants. So they help fight that stress, keeping cognitive pathways clear.
Chocolate. That's good for my brain. Sign me up. Okay, what about sustained energy? Creative flow states need focus for, like, hours sometimes.
Absolutely. And that's where complex carbohydrates shine. Unlike simple sugars candy, white bread, which cause those rapid blood sugar spikes and then crashes.
Yeah, the sugar rush and burn.
Right. Complex carbs, they break down much more slowly. They provide a steady, sustained release of glucose, which is the brain's main fuel.
Stable energy supply.
Exactly. It helps prevent those energy dips and brain fog that can totally kill a creative session. Complex carbs provide the consistent fuel for sustained creative focus.
So ditch the sugary snacks and go for
Things like oatmeal, quinoa, brown rice, other whole grains. They give you that reliable fuel for focus and endurance.
Makes sense. And you mentioned one more, an amino acid.
Yes, tyrosine. It's an amino acid, and it's a direct precursor to dopamine.
Dopamine again. Motivation, focus.
Exactly. Reward system, cognitive flexibility. Higher dopamine availability seems linked to being better at shifting mental states, exploring new perspectives, generating novel solutions, all hallmarks of creativity.
So enough tyrosine might directly help us generate new ideas.
That's the connection, yeah. It supports the brain's machinery for novelty.
And where do we find tyrosine?
It's in foods like nuts, seeds, beans, avocados.
Okay, so quick recap. For the creative kitchen, fatty fish for omega-3s.
Berries for antioxidants.
Leafy greens for B vitamins.
Nuts and seeds for healthy fats and tyrosine.
And whole grains for that steady energy. Got it.
That covers the core building blocks.
That's a really clear shopping list. But it's not just about what we eat, right? You mentioned timing and traps, too.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
You could have the perfect pantry, but if you're eating great food at the wrong times or, pairing it with things that actively sabotage your brain, you might not get the full benefit. It's optimizing the what, but also the when and how.
Okay, so what are some common creativity killers hiding in our diets or routines?
Well, we've touched on excessive sugar. That's a big one. Also, relying too heavily on caffeine. Regular alcohol consumption isn't great for cognitive function either. And even eating really large, heavy meals right before you need to focus. That can backfire. Digestion takes energy and blood flow away from the brain.
Ah, the dreaded food coma when you need to be sharp.
Precisely. And that blood sugar roller coaster we talked about, that's a major, major disruptor.
Explain that again quickly, the simple carbs issue.
Sure. So you eat something like sugary snacks, white bread, pastries, soda. Boom, rapid surge in blood glucose. Feels like energy for a second.
The lift?
But then your body overreacts, releases too much insulin, and your blood sugar crashes. That leads to shaky energy, poor focus, mood swings, total focus killer. This up and down fragments attention. Consistent spikes and crashes over time can even mess with memory.
So stable blood sugar is key for consistent focus.
Absolutely crucial for the sustained effort creativity often needs. Avoid those sugary drinks and snacks, especially before focused work.
What about caffeine and alcohol then? A little caffeine helps, right?
Moderate caffeine can boost alertness temporarily, but too much. Jitters, anxiety, and then the inevitable energy crash later. It hinders sustained focus more than it helps, usually.
Okay. And alcohol.
Yeah, even moderate amounts can negatively impact brain structure and function over time. It definitely impairs the mental clarity you need for creative thinking. Less is generally more when creativity is the goal.
Moderation is key, sounds like. Anything else we might be overlooking? Something simple?
Yes, simple hydration, often completely overlooked,
Just water?
just water. Being adequately hydrated is essential for focus and concentration. Even mild dehydration can cause fatigue, headaches, trouble concentrating, brain fog,
Uh-huh.
all huge roadblocks.
Wow.
Keep water handy, sip it through the day. It's such a simple thing, but incredibly effective for keeping your brain running smoothly. Don't underestimate plain old water.
Good reminder. You also mentioned nutrient synergy. What's that about?
Yeah. Just means some nutrients work even better when they're consumed together. They have combined effects.
Like a team.
Kinda, yeah. For example, the omega-3s EPA and DHA found together in fatty fish. They have synergistic effects for brain development and function. Better together than separate.
Okay.
Or vitamin E and other antioxidants like you find in nuts and seeds. They offer enhanced protection against that oxidative stress when they work in tandem. So it's not just individual players, it's the team effort too.
So it's not just isolated nutrients, but how they interact. That makes sense. Okay, realistically, how quickly might someone notice a difference if they start making these changes? Is it instant magic?
Well, maybe not instant magic. Long-term brain health is gradual. But many people do report noticing improvements in things like focus,
Hmm.
less brain fog, more stable energy within, say, days or weeks of making consistent changes.
Really, days or weeks?
Yeah, especially things like stabilizing blood sugar or upping omega-3 intake. Those can have fairly rapid effects on how you feel cognitively day to day. Seeing those quicker benefits can be really motivating too.
That's encouraging. Not just a long game, we might feel sharper relatively soon.
Exactly. So understanding the timing, what to avoid, hydration, synergy, it lets you be much more strategic. And the payoff, better focus, clarity, can often be felt pretty quickly, leading to more productive creative time.
Okay, we know the why and the what not to do. Let's get super practical. Give us some simple meal ideas, stuff we can actually make to fuel that innovative thinking.
Right, let's put it on the plate. Simple, effective stuff, no fancy chef skills needed.
Perfect. Let's start with the morning, brain-boosting breakfast.
Okay, how about a breakfast power bowl? Super easy. Start with plain rolled oats, complex carbs for steady energy.
Yep.
Then toss in a handful of berries, blueberries, raspberries, great antioxidants.
Got it.
Add some walnuts, plant-based omega-3s, plus that tyrosine for dopamine.
Walnuts, okay.
And maybe sprinkle on some chia seeds or flax seeds, extra healthy fats, fiber, boom. Hits multiple targets, quick and easy.
That sounds totally doable. What about lunch? Need energy for the afternoon slump.
Yeah, you want nutrient-dense but light. A salmon salad is a fantastic option. Use baked or grilled salmon loads of those top-tier omega-3s EPA and DHA.
Okay.
Serve it on a big bed of leafy green spinach, kale for B vitamins, more antioxidants.
Dressing. Don't want anything too heavy.
Exactly. A light vinaigrette olive oil, lemon juice, maybe a little Dijon. Healthy fats, but won't weigh you down and cause that post-lunch brain drain.
Perfect. And snacks. For those mid-afternoon moments.
Instead of the usual suspects, grab a small handful of almonds. Vitamin E, healthy fats, fiber. Really satisfying.
Almonds.
Or a square of high-quality dark chocolate. Remember, 70% cocoa or higher. You get flavonoids for blood flow, antioxidants, and a little gentle caffeine lift.
Dark chocolate snack. I can get behind that.
Mm.
So these are great ideas, but how do we make sure we actually do this when life gets busy or stressful?
Meal prepping is your friend here. And it doesn't have to be complicated.
Like cooking all Sunday.
Not necessarily. Even simple things. Wash your greens when you get them home. Cook a batch of quinoa or brown rice to have ready. Portion out nuts and seeds into little bags.
Reducing the friction.
Exactly. Makes it way easier to grab the good stuff instead of defaulting to less nutritious convenience food when you're rushed or tired.
Smart. Any other simple tricks?
Think about simple swaps. Trade sugary drinks for water or unsweetened herbal tea. Massive impact on blood sugar stability. Choose whole grain bread and pasta over white versions for that steadier energy. These small, consistent changes really accumulate.
Little hinges swing big doors. What about people with dietary restrictions? Vegetarians, vegans?
Great point. If you're avoiding animal products, you need to be mindful about getting enough protein and those amino acids like tyrosine for neurotransmitter production.
So focus on
Beans, lentils, tofu, tempeh. Think hearty lentil soup, black bean burgers or salads, tofu scrambles. Lots of great options. Plant-based diets can be incredibly rich in brain-boosting nutrients. For omega-3s, focus on flax, chia, hemp seeds, and walnuts.
It's altered.
And honestly, regardless of diet, practicing mindful eating is huge. Pay attention. How do different foods make you feel mentally? That personal feedback loop is invaluable for fine-tuning what works best for your creative process.
So it's about adding the good stuff, not just taking things away.
Precisely. Strategic addition, not deprivation.
This all sounds super practical and hopeful, but let's be real. Does this stuff actually work? Beyond Isabel's amazing story, what's the broader picture?
It's a fair question. Look, talent, practice, environment, they're all obviously huge factors in creativity. No one's denying that.
Right.
But the evidence, both scientific and, frankly, anecdotal from lots of creative people, strongly suggests diet is a significant, often underestimated lever you can pull to optimize the cognitive functions you need for creative output.
So Isabel isn't just a one-off miracle.
Not at all. While people might not shout it from the rooftops, you hear accounts from artists, entrepreneurs, musicians, programmers. Many report consciously using diet as a tool for sustained energy, sharper focus, fewer blocks, better mood stability, all things that directly help their work.
Are there common themes? Like, what do these creatively tuned-in eaters tend to do?
Yeah, you see patterns. They almost always prioritize whole, unprocessed foods. They minimize refined sugars, processed snacks, unhealthy fats. They manage energy with balanced meals, avoid heavy stuff before focus time, and hydration, they're usually on top of that. Their habits really echo the principles we've discussed.
But you mentioned earlier people respond differently. What works for one might not for another.
Exactly. Genetics, overall lifestyle, sleep, stress levels, they all play a part. How your body responds might differ. Nutrition is one powerful tool, but is part of a bigger picture.
So how do we figure out what works for us?
Think of it as your own personal experiment. N1, as they say. Try consciously weaving in some of these brain-boosting foods and strategies for, say, 2 or 3 weeks. And crucially, pay attention. Maybe keep a simple journal. What did you eat? How did you feel creatively that day? Focus level, idea flow, energy, even just a 1 to 5 rating.
Looking for patterns.
Exactly.
Right.
Over time, you might start seeing connections emerge. When I have that Power Bowl breakfast, my mid-morning focus is way better. Or, whoa, that sugary lunch really killed my afternoon ideas.
So turning this general knowledge into personalized insight for my creativity.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
This whole process shifts you from just passively hoping for inspiration to actively cultivating the internal conditions that foster it. It gives you agency.
Right. Control over a key factor.
Yeah. By tuning into these connections, you tailor your diet to support your unique creative engine. You've got the blueprint now, the why, the what, the how, even the if with personal testing. It's a solid foundation for using food strategically.
This has been incredibly eye-opening, really empowering. So, to wrap it all up, what's the main thing you want listeners to take away from this?
Just that the connection between your food and your creative fire is real. It's not woo-woo, it's biology. And it offers a tangible strategic advantage. Fueling your brain, right, isn't just about general health. It's a specific move for unlocking your best ideas.
Love it. So what's one super simple, actionable first step someone listening can take, like, this week?
Start small. Make it easy.
Yeah.
Pick one thing. Swap that afternoon soda for water or green tea. Just one swap. Or add one thing. Maybe toss those walnuts onto your usual breakfast, whatever it is.
Just one change.
Yeah. And then pay attention. How do you feel afterwards? Focus, energy. That little bit of observation is where the learning starts.
It really does sound like our creative potential might be, well, just one mindful bite away. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It's exciting stuff.
Absolutely. And if you, listening, want more actionable strategies for personal growth and well-being, make sure to subscribe to The Deep Dive. Thanks for tuning in.